Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 3, episode 1. All right, on today's episode, I will be giving y'all my NFL tiers. It's been my NFL pyramid over the past 2 years, but I changed it to my NFL tiers. Following that, I'm gonna give y'all my playoff predictions and my championship game predictions and my Super Bowl prediction. And in this episode, I'm gonna give y'all my week 1 picks because week 1 starts tomorrow with the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC Championship rematch. That is a great season opener for a great season to come. All right, but before I get into any of that, as we all know, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning, allowing me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. Without him, I would not be here right now. And I also want to thank him for allowing me to go into my 3rd season with the Straight to the Point podcast. And I feel like there's better days ahead. All right, the best is yet to come. So let's go ahead and get this thing started with my NFL tiers. All right, it's like I said, over the past couple years, I've been doing my NFL pyramid, but I changed it to my NFL tiers. All right, going from bottom to the top. Right, the worst teams at the bottom, going to the best teams at the top. So at the bottom of the pyramid, bottom barrel cheeks. Okay, this team is going to be cheeks this year. Okay, I'm talking about the New York Football Giants. Okay, the Giants. They added Brian Burns, which I am a huge fan of. All my friends and family know I love Brian Burns, but you still have Daniel Jones at quarterback. I have no faith in Daniel Jones, and neither should you. All right, and then they also went in the 6th pick in the NFL draft. They drafted Malik Neighbors, who I think can be a good receiver in this league. I think he will be eventually, but you got to be able to get the ball to him, right? So you wasted a top 10 pick on a player that really his success is dependent upon the O line, which is terrible. They gave up 85 sacks last year and a quarterback who's not that good. So to me, you wasted a 1st round pick when you really could have got an O lineman and started there. You went and got a receiver. I don't think that's going to pan out well. So I think the Giants will be last in the division, last in the conference, and last in the NFL, having the number 1 pick next year. All right. My next tier, all of these teams are playing for 2025. Okay. I'm talking about the Patriots, the Panthers, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Commanders. All of these teams, with an exception of the Cardinals, have drafted a quarterback over the past 2 years. All right, the Patriots, Drake May this year. The Panthers, Bryce Young last year. The Vikings, JJ McCarthy, who's not playing at all this year because of injury. The Broncos, Bo Nix. The Cardinals, they fall in this tier because they don't have enough, just like everybody else in this tier. But then the Commanders this year drafted Jaden Daniels. All right. So I do believe that none of these teams have enough to compete in 2024. But I think they all taken a step in the right direction. All right. When you go and you start over and get a quarterback, you're praying that you got the right guy. Right, so I got to see if all of these guys can play. For example, with Bryce Young, I think he can play. He was just in a bad situation last year. They got him a new coach. They got some more pieces, so we'll be able to see flashes. But all of these teams, all they're looking for is players to move forward with. They should all know that this year we're not competing for anything. All we're looking for is players to keep around so that we can keep building this thing until we're able to compete. All right, so that was my plan for 2025 tier. The next tier. None of these teams I'm sold on. I'm just not sold on them. Okay, Jacksonville, Cleveland, the Raiders, and the Titans. All 4 teams have a huge question mark at the quarterback position, which is the most important position in all of football. Okay, we're looking at the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, who just got paid big bucks, but he is very, very inconsistent. Yes, he showed us flashes of being a really good quarterback, but in the overall grand scheme of things, he's been bad as well, right? So to me, I used to be a Trevor Lawrence fan. Y'all know this if y'all been watching my previous seasons, but I'm off the train now because he just doesn't show me what I expected to see coming out of Trevor Lawrence, all right? Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, the Browns might have made the worst trade in the history of the NFL, okay? They paid for a Ferrari, but that Ferrari is sitting in the driveway on bricks right now because he is not the same, and they have to keep paying them. And not only that, but he, like I said, without a quarterback, you really can't do much in this league. And I don't think the old Deshaun, the Houston Deshaun, is walking through that door anytime soon at all. All right. And then the Raiders, Gardner Minshew, you lucked out in the draft. You couldn't get a quarterback, right? So you went and you drafted a tight end. Well, I think you could have went anywhere else but tight end because you just drafted Michael Mayer the year before from Notre Dame, and now you're drafting Brock Bowers. So I think it's a really good talent. But with Gardner Minshew, he needs a run game to be successful in the pass game. They don't have a run game. Who's their best running back? Zamir White. Nobody's going into a game against the Raiders saying, man, I got to watch out for Zamir. Nobody's saying that. So I believe that Gardner Minshew now has more on his shoulders versus being able to play through the run game. And that's just a recipe for disaster. I think Gardner Minshew needs a Josh Jacobs, who they lost in free agency this year. So I do think his team is going to struggle. Then last, the Titans. Okay, the Titans, Will Levis, it's a question mark, right? We saw a couple of good things last year, but overall, I don't think nobody's really that confident in Will Levis being a good quarterback in this league. But the reason why they're not on the 2025 level or the tier below is because they made a lot of veteran moves. They went out and they got Tyler Boyd. They went out and they got Calvin Ridley, right? They went out and they got these veteran pieces, Tony Pollard. They made moves that teams that are in win now mode would usually make. So I'm kind of confused. Maybe they think Will Levis is the answer. That's why they made these moves that, like I said, a veteran team, a team that's in the Super Bowl conversation would make. So I'm just not sold on neither one of these teams. All right, my next tier going up. Don't sleep on any team in this tier. Okay, I am fully confident that these teams in these tiers can make some kind of noise. First start off with the Chargers. Actually, during the NFL Vault series, I talked about the Chargers, and I think that they can squeeze into the playoffs this year. This is a team that has the second easiest schedule, right? They also added Jim Harbaugh with Justin Herbert to pair with Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, the reason why we kind of joke on Justin Herbert a lot is because he doesn't have the wins. Okay, he doesn't have the winning success. But from a talent perspective, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I think that the reason why we didn't see a lot of wins is because of Brandon Staley, who they finally fired. I said they should have fired him the year before last when they gave up that big lead in the first round to Jacksonville in the playoffs, right? He should have been gone. And he's made a lot of questionable decisions that has led to losses. So if he wasn't there, maybe this team could have made some big noise over the past couple of years. So they finally got rid of that turmoil, that poison, and they add Jim Harbaugh where everywhere he's gone, success has followed. With the 49ers, they became a Super Bowl contender. With the Michigan Wolverines, he came in, they instantly was in the picture, and they ended up winning the national championship last year. I think he's going to come here. They're going to run the ball, right? They brought in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Let's pray J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy. And they also brought in Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator that used to be in Baltimore right before he got fired. But in Baltimore, their run game was always good. So Greg Roman comes, and guess what? Familiar faces. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins also played in that Greg Roman offense in Baltimore. So they also beef up the O-line. So I think this run game is going to be really good. And then you still have to prepare for Justin Herbert's arm, all right? Next, the Colts. Shane Steichen, I'm a huge fan, right? When he was in Philly, we saw Jalen Hurts at an MVP level. So I believe that maybe this equation can come to light. Shane Steichen plus Anthony Richardson, does it equal 2022 Jalen Hurts? I don't know. If it does, this team is going to be scary. Do not sleep on them. Then next, I got Josh Allen. Can he be Superman? Like literally, can he be Superman? I think that if I had to put any quarterback in the situation that Josh Allen is in, to find success, it will be Josh Allen. I don't think there's no other quarterback that can go to Buffalo and have a chance on being successful because Josh Allen has the full package, right? He can throw the ball anywhere on the field and he can run at a very high level. So I do think that if any quarterback can drag this team to the playoffs or can make this team very scary this year, is going to be Josh Allen. All right. And then next, with the Seahawks, look, the Seahawks, they have talent. We just got to see if Mike McDonald can go over there and fix that defense, right? Because offensively, we know Geno Smith's ceiling, right? We know that he's not going to be a great quarterback. He's not going to get you to a Super Bowl. I do not believe that he can get anybody to a Super Bowl, even to a championship game, right? But it's a team that might creep into the playoffs because offensively, you have Kenneth Walker, you have DK Metcalf, you have JSN, who we're all expecting to have a breakout year this year because Tyler Lockett is taking steps back. But then your third option is Tyler Lockett as well. And then Mike McDonald, can he get this defense to an elite level? He just came from Baltimore. You saw how good that defense was last year. Can he come to Seattle and make this defense great? All right. On my next tier, Battle of the South. Okay. One of these teams are going to win the South. That's just how I feel right now. I do not think that Atlanta, even with the moves that they made, I don't think that they're just head and shoulders above everyone else. I think these three are going to battle for that division And I think that, of course, the winner would get into the playoffs. So all three of these teams are fighting for that fourth seed in the NFC. All right, because I think that's going to come down to the end of the season. I don't think Atlanta's going to run away with nothing. And then the Saints play the Buccaneers week 18. So I think that could be a division deciding game. But if you look at the first 5 games for all of these teams, they could start out very slow, which means it's going to come down to the end. Atlanta plays the Steelers, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Bucks. Right, you got 3 tough games followed by 2 divisional games. With the Bucks, you play the Commanders, the Lions, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Falcons. I can't guarantee a game against anyone in that list except for maybe the Commanders, right? I do believe they can drop one to the Broncos. And then the Saints play the Panthers, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Chiefs. So what I'm saying is these first 5 games are not easy, which means they could all be sitting at maybe 2-3, maybe a 1-4, right? And then that's going to make it come down to the end. So I think that this tier is definitely the battle of the South, because whoever wins the South is going to get into the playoffs. No other team in the South will make the wild card position. All right. Next tier, role reversal. Okay. Last year, these teams were the bullies. Okay. Last year, the Cowboys won 10 games against teams below 500. The Miami Dolphins won 11 games against teams below 500. I don't know why nobody noticed that, because everybody thought these teams could make a run at the Super Bowl. And guess what? Both of them were first round exits. All right. Miami got dogged by Kansas City, and then Dallas went in there at home, first round, lost to Green Bay. Okay. So I do think that these teams are going to switch roles. I think this year they're going to be the below 500 teams, because I don't think Dallas has enough to replicate what they did last year, because everyone else got better and Dallas did nothing, literally did nothing this offseason to get better except for extend CeeDee Lamb, who they had last year. They have no run game, and I think that teams will be able to focus more on the pass. And then defensively, you lost Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer's coming over. Mike Zimmer is going to change the scheme of that defense. We got to see how it looks. I don't think this team is going to go above 500. I definitely don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Same with Miami. Last year, Miami, they beat up on a bunch of bad teams, got to the playoffs, and got punched in the mouth. This is a team that's very flashy, right? They're going to put up points because they're very fast. The offense has weapons, but I don't think those teams last, especially when it comes to the playoffs. But this year, I don't think they're going to have the luxury of playing all those bad teams. So they're going to be on the opposite end of last year, and they're going to be below 500, I believe, and not make the playoffs. This next tier, both of these teams blew it in 2023. Both of these teams blew it. Okay, the Lions, they had a chance to win the NFC Championship and go to the Super Bowl, but they blew a lead at the end. Dan Campbell got too excited, made some bad decisions. They lost that game to the 49ers, and we all know they should have won. The Ravens last year, they got a unhealthy Joe Burrow, right? So the division was pretty easy to win. The Steelers had no quarterback. The Browns had no quarterback. You won your division, right? You get into the playoffs. All you had to do is worry about one team, and that was Kansas City. You had the luxury of getting the first round bye. You beat the Texans, very young Texans, rookie quarterback, rookie head coach. Then you play the Chiefs at home. You were favored to win that game, and you wet the bed. You only put up 10 points. All right, Lamar Jackson disappointed Baltimore and disappointed everyone who thought the Ravens was going to win that game. So I think they both blew a golden opportunity to run to the Super Bowl last year, and I don't think that opportunity is going to present itself this year. All right, my next tier, these are scary football teams. All right, these are teams that I don't think nobody wants to play in the regular season, let alone in the playoffs. All right, the Rams. This Rams offense can be the best in the league. You're talking about Matthew Stafford, who's not washed. Kyron Williams, who led the league in rushing last year. Puka Nacua, who broke the rookie receiving receptions record. Right, you have Cooper Kupp, who not too long ago won the Triple Crown. Right, he's a great receiver. 2 number 1 receivers with Kyron Williams in that run game, and most of all, you have Sean McVay calling the plays. This is a very scary offense. Defensively, they drafted Jerry Verse in the first round from Florida State. I think he's going to be a great edge rusher to pair with Kobe Turner, to pair with Byron Young. And then they got Tre'Davious White. Can he stay healthy is the big question. But I think offensively, they can outscore anyone. Next, we have the Packers. Okay, Jordan Love, I believe, is going to take another step this year. Last year started off a little rough. It was his first year fully starting, but we saw that him sitting behind Aaron Rodgers was a big benefit. He was able to finish the season strong, get to the playoffs, beat Dallas, and almost beat the 49ers, all right? And then they add Josh Jacobs this year. Yes, Aaron Jones was good last year. He was hurt most of the time, but he was good when he played. But Josh Jacobs, to me, poses a different threat. I think Josh Jacobs is way better than Aaron Jones. So now teams, they have to make a decision. Am I going to load the box and limit Josh Jacobs and let Jordan Love throw it over my head to Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed? Those receivers don't take another step up. And then, or am I going to drop back and limit Jordan Love and let Josh Jacobs run all through us? So I believe that defenses are going to be in the bind when you're going against a team like this. Once again, with a good offensive play caller in Matt LaFleur, who I thought was a product of Aaron Rodgers, but he proved last year that he can do it on his own. All right, next we have the Texans. The Texans, look, CJ Stroud, year 2. I'm expecting a leap. Right, last year what we saw was special. He probably had one of the best rookie seasons as a quarterback we've ever seen. Right, and now he's going to take that next step. And you added star power to go around him. You added Stephon Diggs to pair with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Then you also added Joe Mixon as a threat in that backfield. Last year, Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary, those aren't really threats. But now with Joe Mixon, I gotta fear the run game. C.J. Stroud already shown that he can do it without a run game. This year, they're going to have a run game. Defensively, you add Danielle Hunter to pair with Will Anderson. Derek Stingley's nice. And then you have DeMeco Ryans calling that defense. This team is very scary, all right? Next, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who a lot of people are down on because y'all watched the preseason. Since when have we ever looked at a team in preseason and said they're going to be bad this year based on what we saw in preseason? I've never heard it before, but this year I'm hearing it. Okay. Last year, Russell Wilson. Everybody think Russell Wilson. Oh my God, he's not an upgrade from what they had last year. Yes, he is. He threw 26 touchdowns last year. He was in ninth in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes threw 27. He was eighth in the NFL. Right. Russell Wilson offense averaged 22 points per game. On the flip side, the Steelers threw 13 passing touchdowns with all 3 of their quarterbacks last year. And then they also averaged only 18 points per game. So the Steelers can get 4 points better. We know how good that defense is. And Russell Wilson can add a pass threat to help open up the run game with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Yes, you have George Pickens, and the rest of the receivers are a question mark. But I believe the Steelers are really good at drafting receivers, right? So Roman Wilson is going to be a threat. Calvin Austin, can we use that speed? Van Jefferson was not a bad receiver in LA with the Rams. So I think that this team has enough. Pat Freiermuth at tight end. This is going to be a scary team. A lot of people have them going below 500. A lot of people have them missing the playoffs. I will take that bet any day. The Steelers are a scary team, not just because I'm representing the black and gold, but I really believe this is a scary football team. And the best part about it is Mike Tomlin is their head coach. All right. Never been under 500. Last year had 10 wins with 3 bad QBs. What can you do with an upgraded quarterback? 10 wins should be the floor. All right. Next, we have the Bears. If everything clicks, if Caleb Williams is who we think he will be, this is going to be a very scary team. Okay, I'm talking about a team that has Rome Odunze in the first round, drafting him from Washington. He is a great receiver. I think he gives me Jamar Chase vibes. He's going to end up being the number 1 receiver on this team by the end of the season. And you have DJ Moore. You also have Keenan Allen, where you can throw the ball wherever you want, right? Caleb Williams is going to have a field day just being able to throw the ball around. Then you have DeAndre Swift in the backfield, who's not a scrub, right? He can make some noise. And then defensively, we saw their defense take a step last year whenever they added Montez Sweat on the edge. He instantly started getting pressure for this team. So I do think that this team is going to be very scary this year, all right? But they're not better than these next couple teams. The next tier is no injuries, no problem. If these teams can stay healthy throughout the whole entire year, all 4 of them have a case to make the Super Bowl this year or to even win the Super Bowl this year. The Bengals, can Joe Burrow stay healthy? That's the $1 million question. Can he stay healthy? They made some additions to the O-line to help protect them, right? They lost Joe Mixon, but when you have Joe Burrow, you really don't need a heavy run game because he can throw the ball and sling the ball around, especially when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase contract situation, is he going to play the early part of the year? Right, I don't want him to come back late and then he end up having to warm up into the season. That could be bad. But if he can get on the field and T. Higgins can stay on the field and Joe Burrow can stay on the field, this is a very scary and very team that, like I said, with no injuries can make the Super Bowl. All right, the 49ers, look, they had a rough offseason, right? Christian McCaffrey was hurt throughout preseason and training camp. Right, Ricky Purcell, the first round pick they had, right? He was hurt throughout preseason, throughout training camp, and then he also just got shot recently. All right, So prayers up. They say he's going to be just fine, but he's not going to be there for the beginning of the year, I would assume. Brandon Ayuk had some rough contract negotiations. They got the deal done, but it was still very rocky in San Francisco. And I think that if it was up to me, I would bet that they're not going to be able to recover from such a shaky offseason. But they just signed Trent Williams. They got the deal done with Brandon Ayuk. If Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, maybe Ricky Pearsall can come back and add another weapon to that offense. Brock Purdy, we know how good he is, how good he can be. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, they still have weapons defensively. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, right? Hufanga coming back from injury. Drake Greenlaw might not be there in the first half of the season, maybe, but he should be back eventually. Okay. The 49ers stay healthy, you'll be just fine. All right. And then the Eagles. The Eagles, can their superstars stay healthy? I believe this is a team that defensively last year took like 15 steps back. All right. You lost to Hassan Reddick in the offseason, but you win the first round of the draft. You added Quinyon Mitchell, right? You added Cooper DeJean, right? You upgrade that secondary. And then offensively, you have to. Oh, I'm sorry. You also added Vic Fangio, right, defensive coordinator, who I really like, who came from Miami last year. Don't know how he lost his job, but he ended up with Philly. Philly fired both of their coordinators, so we got to see. We're going to see a different team this year. Then offensively, you have arguably the best offense in the league when it looked at paper, right? Looking at Jalen Hurts, looking at Saquon Barkley, looking at Devontae Smith, looking at AJ Brown. You just added Jahan Dotson. You still have Dallas Goedert. You still have a top 5 offensive line. This offense is insane, right? And then Nick Sirianni, you're under pressure this year. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, because the year prior to last year, they went to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation. You lost your 2 coordinators because they got head coaching jobs, one in Arizona and one in Indianapolis, right? And then last year, you had a good regular season record, where you had a good win-loss record, but it didn't look right. And then first round, you lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this year, you got new coordinators again. If it don't go right, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, we're going to point the finger at one of y'all. And my bet is Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat. If things don't go right this year, if he don't at least get to the NFC Championship, Nick Sirianni is going to get fired, because this is too much star power on this team to not get that far. All right. And then last but not least, we have the New York Jets, who I am very high on this year. Last year, the season was over 4 snaps into the season. They lost Aaron Rodgers, who tore his Achilles. I do believe that if Aaron Rodgers was there last year, they would have been a team that could have contended with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. Because without Aaron Rodgers, they won 7 games. Aaron Rodgers is actually a washed Aaron Rodgers will get you 3 more wins. But an Aaron Rodgers that's at least half of what he used to be will get you 6 more wins. I think this is a 13-win team. They could be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Look offensively, Garrett Wilson had 1,000 yards with Zach Wilson last year. Think about that. Zach Wilson was so bad, but guess what? Garrett Wilson still produced and gave you 1,000 yards. Breece Hall had close to 1,000 yards with a bad O-line and bad QB play. No running back should be able to crack 1,000. He was 6 yards away from doing that, right? You add Mike Williams, who's a big jump ball threat. We know how good he is when he's healthy. Can he stay healthy? Tyron Smith, they added to this O-line from Dallas, a great left tackle, Hall of Fame left tackle, actually. Can he stay healthy? You also added Morgan Moses from the Baltimore Ravens O-line. He's pretty good, because that O-line was pretty good last year. Then when you drafted the O-lineman in the first round like you were supposed to, this team is defensively, we already know what they are with Quinnen Williams, with Quincy Williams, with Sauce Gardner, with Michael Carter, with Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. They added Hassan Reddick. Can he play? Will he play? Because they had some contract disputes, right? CJ Mosley. This defense is loaded. The offense, all you need is a quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers is more than just a quarterback. He is a star. So this team should be. Can they stay healthy? They'll be a very a contender, at least for the Super Bowl, all right? And then I just got to show respect. Got to show respect and got to show love to the back-to-back defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, all right? They're at the top of the tiers because they're the favorites, right? A lot of people are scared to bet against them this year. I don't think they're going to win it all, but just being respectful, just showing that they, like I said, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, looking for a three-peat, I got to show respect, right? So those are my NFL tiers, all right? Next, we're going to move on to my playoff predictions. All right, and this is going to be my playoff teams, starting with the AFC. I do believe the Chiefs are going to win their division. Right, they're probably going to have a first round bye. The Texans and the Jets, to me, are going to be battling for that 2 and that 3 seed. All right, so I got the Texans winning their division. The Jets winning their division. And then I have this Pittsburgh Steelers winning their division, guys. I already told y'all why I believe they're a scary team. And I think that the Bengals and the Ravens, well, the Ravens for sure are not going to have that same luxury of playing a Steelers team or having to deal with a Steelers team with no quarterback, and then also with the Bengals with no Joe Burrow. And I'm just betting on can they get a better record than the Bengals. All right, because at the fifth seed, I have the Bengals. All right, I have the Bengals being the fifth seed in the playoffs. I have them getting that wild card spot. Then I have the Chargers at the sixth seed. That's my surprise team this year, the Los Angeles Chargers. And then the seventh seed, I have the Ravens still making the playoffs, but being the seventh seed. All right. Then I look at the NFC playoff picture. I have the Eagles. All right, I have the Eagles being the number one. They should be the number one seed. You should get the first round bye because they're just that good. Second seed, I have the Rams winning their division. Once again, another bold prediction. I do believe that the 49ers dealt with so much, and can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy? The workload that he had last year had to put some wear and tear on his body. Can he replicate it again this year? All right, but the Rams, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, Kyron Williams. Hey, I already talked about it. Next, we have the Packers. All right, the Packers, who I believe will take that next step. They're going to win this division. The Lions are the team, the talk of the town. Everybody's talking about, but I believe that the Packers can win this division. All right, then I have the Falcons squeezing out the AFC South. It's not a guarantee. I think the Buccaneers and the Saints have a chance to win this division, but I think the Falcons will squeeze it out. Then my wild card teams will be the 49ers at the fifth seed. I still have to respect the talent there. Then I have the Lions, who once again is a really good team. I think they blew it last year, but it's a really good team. And then another surprise team making the playoffs, the Chicago Bears. Can Caleb Williams and that offense click? All right. And then in the championship, so it's going to start with 7 teams on each side. It's going to go down to 4 teams. In the AFC Championship, we're going to see a good one between the Chiefs and the Jets. All right, I do believe that this is what I was looking for last year, right before Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I thought that this was going to be the AFC Championship game, and I believe it this year as well is going to be the AFC Championship. And then the NFC, we have the Eagles and the Rams. Y'all have the Rams making it that far. That's how much faith I have in them. And then out of those 4 teams, I gotta pick 2 out of those 4. I got to, and it was hard for the AFC. I got the Jets going to the Super Bowl this year. All right, but then the NFC, it was so hard between the Eagles and the Rams, but I had to trust my gut, and I went with the Rams, y'all. I got the Rams making the Super Bowl this year. I have the Jets and the Rams. And my Super Bowl champ, y'all. I got a Super Bowl coming to New York. I have to trust. I have to trust that everything that I've said is going to come to light. All right. I do think that this team last year was solid with no quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is more than just a quarterback. He's going to bring points scored to this team, and they're going to be able to put up a lot of points and be able to keep teams from scoring a lot with their defense. And I think this Jets team is going to make it all the way and win the Super Bowl, y'all. But that is my basically my prediction for this year, and it's going to be very exciting. It might not go like I said, but it's going to be very exciting regardless. All right. Let me go ahead and end this episode with my week 1 picks. All right. Week 1, like I said, starts tomorrow with the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a AFC Championship rematch. So I believe that the Ravens have a big chip on their shoulder. Can they basically get revenge on the Kansas City Chiefs? All right. But this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to do it like I did last year. Last year, I did a pick'em league where I picked all the games. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to tell y'all how my record was, or what my record was with my pick'em. All right. Let me pull it up real quick. With the Baltimore Ravens and the Chiefs, I'm going with the Chiefs. All right. I just think that the Chiefs opening night, last year we saw them lose to the Detroit Lions on opening night, but I think the Ravens they're going into this game with too much pressure. They feel like they got to win this game is what I'm believing. I think that if they do lose this game, how can anyone trust them to go into playoffs and beat the Chiefs? You lost to them in the playoffs last year. You lost to them opening night. And it's opening night, which means the Chiefs are going to be way better by week 17. Think about all the additions they made, right? With Xavier Worthy out of Texas, a speedster, with Hollywood Brown coming over from Arizona, right? You have to assume that this offense is going to look better than it did last year. Rashee Rice is not facing any consequences for what happened this offseason, so he's going to be there. And then with Travis Kelce, of course, and Andy Reid calling plays and Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, they're going to get better as the year goes with repetition, and the chemistry is going to get better. So if the Ravens can't beat them right now, what makes me think that they're going to beat them later on in the playoffs, or you know what I'm saying? So I got to go. I'm going with the Chiefs opening night this year. I think last year was a fluke with the Lions. That pick six off of Kadarius Toney, we all remember that. So I think it was a fluke, but I got the Chiefs winning opening night. All right, Friday. All right, we're going to Brazil. You can't even see this game in person. You got to watch this game on TV. All right, the Green Bay Packers and the Eagles. Great opening. Great Friday night game. I think that it was hard, but I'm gonna go with the Packers, y'all. I'm gonna go with the Packers to win this opening game. Look, the Eagles with their new coordinators, I think is going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be perfect to begin the season. And just because they lose this game don't mean I have them losing a lot of games this year. I just think it's opening night. It's in Brazil, a neutral site. We have a team that jailed last year, right? And they have their play callers from last year versus a team that has two brand new coordinators, right? You add Saquon to this offense, they're really, really good, but I don't think the teams that are favored are going to win every game in week one. So I'm going to go with the Packers, all right? Next on Sunday, we have the Steelers at the Falcons. I'm going with the Steelers, all right? And the disrespect has to stop. And I think that the Falcons are being overrated. Honestly, I think they did make some really good moves, but I don't think they're better than the Steelers. I honestly just don't. Kirk Cousins can't move. And what is the best part of the Steelers defense is their pass rush. So guess what? Kirk Cousins is going to be under a lot of pressure in this game. And I understand Drake London can emerge. I understand Kyle Pitts can emerge. I understand Bijan Robinson is a problem. But I don't think they're going to be able to just run the ball down our throat. So I do believe that it's going to come down to them throwing the ball. And I think that Kirk Cousins is going to be under a lot of duress and a lot of pressure. And then offensively, anything from Kenny Pickett last year is an upgrade. So I'm expecting to see this offense put up more points this year. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning week one. All right. Next, the Cardinals and the Bills. I'm going with the Bills. All right. The Bills lost a lot. They lost a lot of pieces. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis gone. Defensively, you lost Jordan Poyer, right? Defensively, you also lost Matt Milano to injury. He's not coming back, probably not coming back this whole entire year. But this is one of them Josh Allen Superman games, right? The Cardinals are not a really good defensive team. Offensively, they added some pieces with Marvin Harrison, right? They got some pieces with Kyler Murray and with James Conner. And when they drafted Trey Benson third round, I believe, from Florida State running back. But this is a game where Josh Allen can have an MVP caliber performance, and I do believe that he will, and that's why they will be able to win this game. All right, next we have the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears. I got the Bears. All right, I think the Bears are going to start off fast because I think that the hype from the offseason and the hype from seeing Caleb Williams in the preseason is going to carry over. And I think that what a better way to open up the year and against a Titans team that really just isn't that good. So I do think that Caleb Williams can have a big game and put everyone on notice. Everyone's eyes are going to be wide when they see what Caleb Williams does on Sunday versus the Tennessee Titans. All right. Next, we have the Patriots and the Bengals. I'm going with the Bengals. Now, just a heads up to anyone out there, that anybody that loves betting and stuff like that, the Patriots are projected to win like 5 games this year. I think the bet is like 4.5 over and under. Hey, I would take the over because I think the Patriots can squeeze out 5 games. Yes, they're not that good right now. And Drake May's not even starting. I forgot to mention that in my tier segment. Drake May's not starting this year. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett. So I do believe that they can win 5 games. Like, come on now. I would bet the over if I was y'all. Just putting that out there. But I got the Bengals win this game. They're better on paper. They're better on the football field. And I think it's going to be an easy win. It should be at least. Next, we have the Houston Texans and the Colts. I'm going with the Colts at home. That's another upset that I got to go with. Look, I think the Texans are going to win the war. Right, they're going to win the long-term war, but this battle on Sunday, I got them losing to the Colts at home. I think they're going to split this year, so the next time they play, I'm picking the Texans. But the Colts at home, I think the Texans, they're going to go into it probably looking past the Colts. But I think the Colts are a pretty solid team. It's a team, like I said, do not sleep on them. Can Shane Steichen plus Anthony Richardson equal 2022 Jalen Hurts? That's the question of the year, and we'll figure it out on Sunday. All right, but next we have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. I got the Dolphins, y'all. I want no stock in the Jacksonville Jaguars after what they did to me last year. Y'all remember I picked them to be a very scary team in the AFC, and they let me down, so I don't want nothing to do with them this year. I think this might be Doug Peterson's last year in Jacksonville, and they're going to question why they paid Trevor Lawrence so much money. But I'm going with Miami. They're just better. Even though I'm not a fan of Miami, this is one of them under 500 games are going to win. I think Jacksonville will be under 500. So at the end of the season, we're going to say, yeah, they beat Jacksonville week one, who is now under 500, right? So I got Miami being a bully for a week. Like I said, roles will reverse, but they will be a bully for a week. All right. Carolina and the Saints. I'm going with the Saints, y'all. Carolina is not ready. They're not ready yet, and that's okay. They realize that, they recognize that, and that's cool with me. I'm one of them guys that I like to see teams like that. I like to see them grow, right? See, people gonna laugh at them, clown them, but they're building, they're rebuilding right now. All right, but the Saints don't have a lot, but they got more than the Panthers. That's all I'm gonna say. They got more than the Panthers. All right, Minnesota and the Giants. I'm going with Minnesota, y'all. Like I said, no stock in the Giants. The Giants would be the worst team in the league this year. If I was really bold, I'd say they're not gonna win a game this year. But I know how the NFL is, very unpredictable. But I got the Minnesota Vikings winning this game. The Giants just don't have anything. The Vikings have limited assets, right? Sam Darnold, I don't think he's that good. And then you look at Justin Jefferson, you still have him. You still got Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson not there. But you add Aaron Jones, it's just more than the Giants, right? So I don't believe in Minnesota, but I definitely don't believe in the Giants, all right? Next, we got the Raiders and the Chargers. I got the Chargers winning this game. Once again, an easy schedule. We get to open up with a Raiders team that I have no confidence in. I believe Gardner Minshew is in a place to die, basically. He's in a bad situation because he has to carry the load. There's no good run game. So you got to be able to air the ball out. Yes, you have Devontae Adams, you have Brock Bowers, you have Jacoby Myers, but he's not a guy that I believe can go out there and just air it out. And then the Chargers are going to run the ball. So I think that they'll be able to control the clock. They'll be able to control the game. Just to Herbert make a pass into here and there, and they'll win this game, y'all. Next, I got the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks at home. This might be a JSN game. I think that Pat Surtain is going to be on DK Metcalf. So JSN, who's the other corner in Denver, right? Take care of business, break out, put the lead on notice because he was a great receiver in college. Came last year, kind of went under expectations, but I think it's going to be a big game for JSN week one. And also Kenneth Walker, they can run the ball. Dallas and the Cleveland Browns. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be, once again, Mike Zimmer is now the DC in Dallas. We don't know what that defense is going to look like, so I have to assume Cleveland's defense, we know what they're going to look like. They're going to be pretty solid. And I think that with no run game in Dallas, you're going to struggle against really good defenses because you're not balanced. And then you got Myles Garrett on the other side. Go ahead and drop back and throw 40 times a game if you want to. He's going to be in Dak Prescott's face, all right? Next, we have the Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with the Buccaneers. Commanders, once again, they're playing for next year. The Bucks, though, take care of business. Like I said, their first 5 games are not easy. This is one of the easy ones. You got to be able to take care of this game if you want a chance at the division. It's a very important game for the Bucks. Don't play with your food. Just go ahead and eat it, all right? Next, we got the Rams and the Detroit Lions. I'm going with the Rams. They are heavily underrated in this game. The Detroit Lions are heavily favored. I would take the Rams all day. Money line, spread, whatever you want. All right. The Rams last year went into Detroit in the playoffs and almost won that game. This year, I think the Rams have a better team than the Lions. Honestly, definitely a better offense. And who do I trust more, Dan Campbell and Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay? I think they are both heavily outweighed at the coach and the QB position. And then offensively, with the Detroit Lions, yes, their offense is good, but they're not the Rams. And the Detroit Lions made some additions to their secondary to fix that problem last year when teams were able to just pass the ball around. But I don't think it's going to be fixed in 1 week and one offseason. Plus the first week, I don't think it'll be fixed yet. It'll be fixed further down the line. But I got Matthew Stafford going back home to Detroit and getting payback for what happened last year, right? And then we're going to end this year, end this week one, end this beautiful plate with the Jets at the 49ers. I cannot wait, and I'm picking the Jets to go into San Francisco and get the W, all right? This is a team that has a lot of built-up frustration because last year they believed that they had a chance to go and compete for a Super Bowl, but they lost everything in week one. And then all year they was being teased with, can Aaron Rodgers come back? Can he recover this fast from a Achilles injury? I think they have all that frustration built up. And like I said, the 49ers are really like stumbling into the season. I don't think the 49ers are going to be the old 49ers until later in the season. That's why I have the Rams win the division. I think the Rams will have a better start than the 49ers, which will give them a head start. And then I also believe that week one, they're going to stumble and fall to the New York Football Jets. All right. But that is it for season 3, episode 1. Y'all, I'm extremely excited for this upcoming NFL season. I do believe that it's going to be one of them years, man. One of them years where we sit back and we're going to see these breakout teams. Like last year, we saw the Packers and the Houston Texans. We saw teams that disappointed us, like the Eagles last year. We saw teams that looked really good in the regular season, but then crumbled in the playoffs because they wasn't really that good, but they looked good in the regular season, right? Talking about the Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins, all right? I just think that this year is going to be a year to remember. It's been way too long. It's time for fantasy football. It's time for betting. It's time to watch the NFL, y'all. And also make sure you continue to watch Straight to the Point podcast. If you haven't yet, once again, go check out the NFL Vault. I also have a TikTok now at Straight to the Point Pod. Make sure you check that out as well. And look, season 3 gonna be the best season yet of the Straight to the Point podcast. It's your boy Jay Best. God bless. Enjoy week 1. I'm out.